Retirement is one of those things you must get right the first time. No mulligans. Because the real question is, will I run out of money? And you don't want to get that wrong. In this video, I will share with you 5 crucial things that you must be thinking about right now so that you can pursue the retirement of your dreams with confidence. Hi, my name is Mark Singer, and for up-to-date and timely information on retirement income, Social Security, click on the button below to subscribe to our channel and make sure that you are notified when we post new videos. So do you have one of these in your office or a sign like this? Or maybe it's just in your head where you're writing down how many days till I actually retire. Well, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's been at his job for 35 years now. He's going to be retiring in 30 days. So he was asking me a number of questions, many of which that we deal with our clients. You know, like, do I have enough money? Will I make sure that I have income now, income later? Am I invested right? Am I taking on too much risk? You know, with the elections coming up, is the market too volatile? What am I going to do? What do I do now that I'm no longer working and I'm at home? How does it impact my home life? And I said to him, all of those are good questions. And that is all about what retirement planning is. So I want to share with you the 5 questions that you should be asking right now before you retire to make sure that you get this right. So let's deal with the first one right away. Will I run out of money? Because the studies show that this is the #1 fear for those who are about to transition into retirement. And I'm going to share with you how to think about this. But first of all, I want to talk about the difference between the way our financial industry has been teaching you about how to invest and planning and retirement versus how you should be thinking about it. Now, we've been telling you in terms of investing, you need to have a certain amount of nest egg to have in order to move through and into retirement. But we really haven't told you how to invest once you've accumulated that nest egg in order to generate the income you need looking forward. How much can you take from the portfolio? How do I position my assets? I was just with a friend of mine. We were playing golf, speaking of mulligans. And he said to me, listen, I've been talking to my financial advisor and I'm really concerned about the markets. I'm concerned about the upcoming election. I'm considering taking some money off the table. Now, he's within a couple of years of retirement. And I sort of backed off and said, don't think about the investments. Think about where you want to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And don't make the mistake that many make as they think about, again, this uncertain market and the uncertain November that we have facing us, and make your decisions about investing as a result of how you personally think about these things. Because we need to share with you as you go through this transition how to properly invest in order to generate the income you need. And our focus from an industry has been on the investments, whereas proper retirement planning has to start with income generation. And the big question is, how much do you need right now? So I would suggest to you the very first thing you need to do in order to answer this question, will I outlive my money, is how much money do I need? So get a cash flow worksheet and deal with what you believe your expenses will be looking forward from retirement on, and go back into the checkbook, take a look at, try to get some good number. It doesn't need to be exact, right? $2,231. It could be $2,200 that I spend on, whatever it is. So try to get a good round number and add it up. And whatever number you get, I submit to you, you should probably add about 10 to 15% onto that number so that you aren't trying to solve for a number that is too low. Because we oftentimes forget about some of the items that we need to spend and don't think about some of the items that may not be recurring items. They may be one-offs or some home improvements or whatever. So get a number in mind in terms of what you think you need on a monthly basis. Let's call it $5,000. But don't fall into the mistake that many others have made and think that that's the number that you need. Because what you really need is, if you need $5,000, you have to gross it up for taxes. So let's say you need, let's call it $7,000 to be generated on a gross way so that you can have the $5,000 that you need on a month-to-month basis. Then what you need is you need to develop your bucket list. And the bucket list are those things outside of the usual recurring things, travel, visiting the grandkids when we can do all that again. The home improvement, another car, whatever it is that's on your list, a new kitchen, whatever it is. Make sure that you put that in, but be as specific as you can. Because as a planner, as I'm talking to a client, and the client says to me, Mark, I'm going to go travel. I want to do a lot of traveling. I go, okay, what does that mean? Well, I want to travel to Italy. Well, from a planner's perspective, I can't really put travel to Italy into the plan. What I could do is, though, I want to go to Italy in 5 years, and we're going to spend $25,000 on the whole trip. That I can work with. Now we know we have $5,000 on a monthly basis. And one of the bucket list items is, in 5 years, we're going to need $25,000 to go to Italy. And every 2 or 3 years, we're going to spend $10,000 or $12,000 a year to go travel. Or in 10 years, we're going to, buy a second home, or whatever it is. Make sure you quantify that number. It's really important to give you the confidence that you can pursue the retirement that you want and make sure that you're not going to run out of money. And the only way to put in place a plan that you'll feel more confident that you won't run out of money is to quantify everything as best you can. Obviously, each and every year, you'll have to update the numbers. Life changes, our objectives change, our bucket list might change. So now let's think about it. Now let's say we need $7,000 a month or $84,000 a year. And we're going to be bringing in, let's call it $50,000 from Social Security as a couple for the household. Okay? So now if we needed $84,000 and we've got $50,000 coming in from Social Security, then we need $34,000 to be generated from somewhere. We could certainly work part-time if we wish to, but let's assume for this scenario that we decide that we're not going to work for money anyway. We want to have more freedom to do what we want to do when we want to do it. Let's assume we have a $1 million portfolio. If we have a $1 million portfolio, then we need to generate 3.4% or $34,000 to give us the balance of the income that we need. Now again, let's think about it again. We need $7,000 a month. We're bringing in $50,000 a year. So we had $84,000 we need. We have $50,000 that we're bringing in. We need $34,000. Now we know that we can, if we get a 3.4% withdrawal from our $1 million nest egg, then we will have what we need in order to pursue our retirement. Now, having said all of this, most of the time you look to the portfolio, as my friend did, and all of the questions he was asking had much more to do with, do I invest, more or less now given what we're going through? What you first have to do when you go to retire is look at the income needs and then back into what the portfolio needs. In this scenario, if we need to withdraw 3.4% from the portfolio, my question to you is, do we really need to take on a lot of risk to generate that 3.4%? Well, the answer is no. If we had to generate 8% or 10% from the portfolio, then yes, we'd have to take on a lot of risk, and that may be a problem for long-term planning. But if all we had to do was just generate, on a simple basis, about 3.5% from the portfolio, then we can go back into the portfolio and say we don't need to take on a lot of risk. We may take a look at the portfolio differently from when we were working versus when we're going into retirement. But the proper way to invest relative to the big question, which is I don't want to outlive my income, is to first understand how much income you need, then how much income you should be generating from the portfolio, and then construct the portfolio in such a way that it meets your income needs both now and later. One caveat I will say is you don't just need the 3.4%. If you want to make sure you don't run out of money later, you also need to add a little bit for inflation. It's at 2%, 3% right now. So the overall portfolio, you need to put together and construct a portfolio that will get you a projected 5 to 6% rate of return long term. And if you think long term, then you don't have to worry about what happens a week from now, a month from now, in the elections, whether we get the vaccine, whatever it is. You're investing with an all-weather portfolio over a long period of time to generate the income you need to answer the number one question, which is, will I outlive my money? The number two question that you really need to address right now is, how do I protect my nest egg, not just for myself, but for my spouse and my family, the legacy? And the first thing you have to think about is, and we talked a little bit about the investing side of things relative to income and not outliving your money, is as a result of going through the exercise in question one, you will develop what will be your personalized investment benchmark. If you remember just a few moments ago, I said to you, you needed the 3.4% plus a little bit for inflation. Let's call it 2.5% for inflation. So the 3.4 plus the 2.5 equals 6%. That's what we call, with our clients, the personalized investment benchmark. And why is this important to you? Well, as you've been going through your working years, a lot of the success or failure of your portfolio was gauged around how well the benchmarks did, the S&P, the Dow, right? Did the Dow go up or down? How did you do against it? Well, now that you're going into retirement, we no longer worry about how the Dow or the S&P or the other indexes did. We are more concerned about how your portfolio did relative to what income you need. And that's the generation of the personalized investment benchmark. The other thing that you really need to take a look at now, in terms of protecting and preserving your nest egg for your lifestyle now and your spouse's lifestyle later, is proper estate planning. And when we talk to our clients about where they have to start about proper estate planning, it really is the will, the durable power, the healthcare proxy, proper beneficiary designations, and it may be a trust depending upon what your circumstances are or what your asset size is. And I highly recommend that you speak with a qualified estate planning attorney who deals in just this area that can help you, again, align your objectives with your estate planning documents. And that will help you to protect and preserve your nest egg as it provides for your lifestyle now and later. So, of course, I'm going to save the best for last. I want you to watch it, right? And as we know, the whole area of planning can be very complex, and that's why we spent some time putting together our Masterclass to help you answer some of these very difficult questions that you really need to get right the first time. So if you have some time, make sure that you view our Masterclass to get some answers to some of those questions that you may have. The third question that you must deal with now is making sure that if you are married or with a partner, that you're taking care of the surviving spouse. And there are 3 conversations we have with our clients with regards to this particular topic. The first is the pension. If you have that available to you, typically there is the ability to take as much money as you can, but you may leave your spouse with nothing. And there has to be a signature. You have to sign off that you recognize that that's going to happen. Then there may be a pension that gives you the ability to take a little bit less money, but provide your spouse 50 or 67 or 100% of what your reduced pension amount may be. This conversation has to take into account not just what the pension options are, but what assets you have and what cash flow needs you have with regards to your retirement journey. So make sure if you do have a pension available, and congratulations if you do, not a lot have them left, right? But if you do have this opportunity, make sure you get it right and to assess the whole picture and not just take a look at the one item, which is the pension option. The other question we have here, which is with regards to protecting the surviving spouse, is life insurance. And we oftentimes counsel our clients that there is really only 2 reasons when you go to retire to have life insurance. Now, this is just a generalization, and for some of you, there may be certain circumstances that may differ. But as a general rule, there's two reasons to own life insurance in retirement. One, again, if you have that pension and you die and you don't leave your spouse with enough income, then owning a life insurance policy to provide the assets, to provide the income for the surviving spouse would be important. If, however, you don't have a pension, if when you go, your household income isn't going to drop very much, then there's not a reason to own life insurance. The other reason to own the life insurance is if you have an estate that is large enough that there will be either at the state level or the federal level estate death taxes, then you may want to purchase some life insurance, put it in an irrevocable life insurance trust to make up for the fact that your estate is going to have to be paying out some money upon either your death or upon the death of both of you. Finally, the big question is, have you generated an income plan to take care of all this? Not just pie in the sky numbers. Well, if I think I get this, then I get this. And if I die, maybe she has this or he has that. That's where a well-designed income plan, which is the process of putting together a prioritization of what income you need now, where it comes from, what income is needed later, where it will come from. That is as important as putting together the estate plan, which is really the plan upon your passing, right? The income plan is more about income generation while you're living, and the estate plan is protecting the assets upon your passing. So that's how you think about protecting and preserving assets and lifestyle for your surviving spouse. So I'm going to get to the number one question we get from our clients in just a moment. But the fourth crucial question to get right now right, get it right, because it could be an irrevocable decision, is which one of the 567 different Social Security strategies are best for you and your household. Because if you get this one wrong, it could cost you upwards of $200,000, depending upon your circumstance, over your lifetime for your household. And you don't want to give that up. You've worked hard for this retirement. We want you to enjoy it. And part of that is making the right Social Security decision for you now if you're married, for your spouse, and all of the possible complexities, strategies, claims. When am I eligible? Should I take it at 62? Should my spouse take it? Am I divorced? Am I widowed? How am I going to make the most out of Social Security? And we have numbers of videos on this YouTube channel. And if you have a specific question with regards to Social Security for your particular circumstance, I recommend you go to one of our Social Security videos that will go into great depth. But right here, I want you to be aware of the fact, speaking of mulligans and golf, if you make the wrong decision, it could be irrevocable. Go to someone who can help you out with projecting which benefit would be best for you. And that's not necessarily going to the nearest Social Security office, which, by the way, is closed right now because of the pandemic. You should go to someone who is well versed in it and it can help you run those numbers so you know before you make that decision that you're making the right decision. So I told you I'm saving the best for last. And when I talk about that, when most people think about retirement and retirement planning, they think about the money. But to be honest with you, based on my over 30 years of experience and all the conversations I've had with clients, friends, colleagues, etc., really the number one issue for those where money may not be an issue going into retirement, their money is all set, they have enough income. The real question is, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? What am I going to do with all the time on my hand? So I've got a good friend of mine who was recently retired, sold his practice, and now, I get a call from him almost daily, and he says, well, it's 11 o'clock now. I made it to 11. I don't know what I'm going to do till 1 o'clock. He doesn't have a lot to do. He has no hobbies. He has no kids. He's trying to figure out what to do on a day-to-day basis. He has more money than he needs, but really getting a sense of what your purpose is going to be, what you wish to do, how you're going to balance that new home life. So let me share with you a story about a client of mine. They're both in their early 70s, about to retire. And I said to him, listen, what's your biggest concern about retirement? And his answer to me was, what I was just sharing with you. I don't know what I'm going to do with life. All this time on my hands. I know I can play golf a couple, 3 times a week, but what am I going to do the rest of the week? But that's only half of the story. Because the other half is, I asked his wife, I said, well, what are you going to do now that the both of you are retired? What's your concern? Her answer was, I don't know what I'm going to do with him in the house the whole time. Now, as humorous as that is, there's some truth to that, right? So we really have to have those conversations before we retire to visualize how we're both going to spend our lives, how we're not going to, we've learned in this pandemic, 24/7 may not necessarily be great for our relationship. It may be one of the most crucial conversations to have to understand the boundaries, the roles, the respect for each other as you enter into retirement. It may be the biggest contribution to the success and pursuit of your retirement, which is to understand how to answer this question, which is the balance of life and what you're going to do with all of that time. If you found this of value to you, subscribe to our channel, tell a friend, and make sure that you go to our next video that's available to you so that you can fully enjoy the retirement journey.